Let's take a look at a couple of key use cases for Socratic's agentic project management capability. I'm going to start with a big nuisance for engineering teams, which is trying to understand how long a body of new work is likely to take to complete. It happens all the time. Business or product team shows up and says, this is what we want to get done. It's up to software engineering to kind of huddle smart people and start making best guesses as to how long it's likely to take. With Socratic's agentic capability, we can make those predictions based on everything we've observed about historical actuals by person, by team, and by type of work. So what I'm doing here is I'm simply asking the agent, hey, I've got this scope of work. I've broken it out by a series of 3 epics. I've given each epic a rough t-shirt size, small, medium, large, extra large. I've said which team is going to do the work. The team is defined in Socratic, so we know the folks that are associated to that team. I've indicated whether there are any dependencies in the work. And I've also said where specifically in Jira the work is going to get done. So with that as an input, what the agent is now going to do is it's going to say, okay, given a scope of this size for the people that we see as being a part of these teams, given everything else we know about how these teams have worked historically, given the current capacity we observe that's on each of these people's plates, what do we think is the most realistic time it's going to take to complete? And just quickly behind the scenes, we're using Monte Carlo simulation. So essentially we've run up to 1,000 model runs saying if the same body of work were delivered by the same people up to 1,000 times, what are all the historical actual outcomes we would observe? Those are plotted. And then the agent says, here's the realistic range. You get an early case, a late case, and a mid case. And then you get this nice custom graphical component output. In this case, because I got multiple bodies of work depicting it as a Gantt. If I'd indicated dependencies, I would see those dependencies here. Now, I might realistically then say, okay, well, let's just say that, a date of early September is too late for this body of work. I might then ask the agent, well, how could we get this done earlier? Now, here again, if you're in engineering, really you have 2 levers to pull, right? You can either add people or you can reduce scope. The question, of course, is how much of each is most likely to give you the best chance of hitting whatever this assigned date is. And so in this case, we've simply indicated to the agent, hey, I have this additional constraint, which is the work has got to get done by a particular date. And to do that, what would it take? Now here again, what it's going to do is it's going to give you specific recommendations for how to change things, how much scope you would have to reduce where, and or how many additional resources you would need to add in order to complete. So a pretty powerful capability, something that may take hours or even days of debate, is something I can do in a matter of minutes. Let's look at a couple of other cases. I might want to ask something as straightforward sounding as, hey, what's the status of this body of work? In this case, optimized connection and onboard experience. Well, that happens to map to one of the epics that we use, but you could have any kind of body of work. This could be a release, it could be an initiative, whatever the case might be. The agent is going to do is, again, it's going to analyze all the work activity data that's observed, and it's going to deliver a few things. You're going to get a forecast using that same modeling we talked about just a minute ago, in this case using what the actual scope is and the actual current state of work, assignments, team capacity, etc. It's going to tell you the momentum of work. Are we speeding up or slowing down in our delivery? It's going to surface things like resource contention. It's going to show me any issues that are blocked. So again, as opposed to huddling and debating and Slack channeling and querying Jira and everything else, I can kind of get at my fingertips a pretty powerful view of the state of something. Now, I might also have a question like, not related to work, I might just have a question related to organizationally how we're doing. In this case, I might want to say, hey, look, what's our cycle time been by team for the last quarter? Because obviously, especially if I'm an engineering leader, I have really 2 kinds of questions. I have questions related to the work we're doing, and I have questions related to how we are doing as an organization. How are my people doing? Who might need help? What teams are doing well? What teams might need help, etc. And so here again, you'll see that in this case, I'm going to get a quick readout by team of what cycle time has been. Importantly, in these cases, what we're always doing, which you'll see reflected here, is we're trending it period over period. So since I've asked by quarter, the trend line I'm going to see drawn here is going to be quarter over quarter. I could ask by month, I could ask by week, etc. And I can skinny this down if I want. Just show me, GTM and front end, how they compare. In these cases, we'll show how cycle time compares to correlatives like the throughput for the team in that period, as well as the efficiency. And efficiency is something else that the Socratic AI observes based on the way work is flowing or not flowing. I might want to ask something like, hey, where did we spend time? How much time did we spend on work labeled customer this quarter? Customer being one of the labels that we use against various tickets. And what it's going to show me is exactly that. It's going to show me here's how much time was allocated for the period I've asked. I'm going to see again the trend about how that's been changing over time. In Socratic, you can optionally assign labor cost if you want. And if you do that, we'll convert time into cost as well. So you can see both. This particular capability is pretty compelling for things like software capitalization. That's a primary use case for a number of customers. And it's the reason why folks like product and finance teams are also interested in this kind of capability. As a final one to look at, I'll just ask a simple but pretty compelling question, which is, hey, look, what's at risk? This is, as a leader of an organization, what I spend a lot of my time trying to uncover, right? And a lot of that discovery is through, as I say, stand-ups and bi-weekly meetings and reviews and this, that, and the other. Really, I want to make it the agent's job to discover that for me, to sort of look at and tell me, hey, where might we have work that's running late? We've assigned a given date, and Socratic's intelligence is saying we're not likely to hit that date. It's likely to be very different. Or it could be something as simple as, hey, we've got a bunch of work that's simply fallen idle. There's been no work for some period of time. That's a quick sampling of the kinds of capabilities this agent unlocks.